Hi everyone, Dr. Brayboy here. I'm currently the director of the QEP on advising, and you'll be hearing more about the QEP and professional advising in another presentation during FYE. I'll be narrating this PowerPoint to give you some tips on deep and intensive reading, which I hope will help you with your reading assignments, which will take many forms during your academic career. Let's start with what deep reading means. Deep reading, most importantly, is an active exercise, and you must be both deliberate or intentional and thoughtful every time you read. And why is it important to read deeply? First, because it's more fun. You want your reading to be as enjoyable as possible. Second, because you want the time spent to be successful, which includes making a scheduled time to read, picking a place that's conducive to reading, and setting a goal for reading, including a time limit for how long you're going to be spending reading. Third, because the outcomes of deep reading are to both use inferential reasoning to figure out what's being said or implied without the idea being stated explicitly. Using inference in reading means processing what is written to determine deeper meaning, which is not stated outright. For example, if someone makes a face when eating a pickle, you can infer that he or she doesn't like pickles. Next, you want to be able to use deductive reasoning or logic when you're reading, which means taking one or more statements or facts to draw a logically certain conclusion. Think of if-then statements. If A is true, the hypothesis, then B must be true, the conclusion. For example, you know that apples are fruits, right? Then if a Granny Smith is an apple, it has to be a fruit. So when will you or should you use deep reading in college? All the time. When you're reading textbooks, online and hard copy academic and news articles, and any type of book. Deep reading, though, isn't easy. You need to think about what works best for you, but it's a good idea to consider some strategies that will improve your comprehension to ensure you're ready for assignments and tests. Make sure you have a plan. Think about where you will read. For example, sitting up makes you more attentive. Having enough light helps you focus. Removing background noise can help. People, TV, and sounds from other devices are distracting. Get ready before you start reading. Have something to take notes on. You have your highlighters ready to mark important ideas. Think about why you're reading. What is an assignment? What do you need to get out of the reading to help you with the assignment? And then preview the reading. So you're ready. Now you're ready to preview the reading. So read the introduction and conclusion before you read the entire article. Then scan the entire reading before you focus on the interesting and relevant sections. Next, pay attention to whether you're understanding the material as you're reading it. What's the main idea of each section or the entire document? Quiz yourself as you go along. Think about whether you could answer a question on the topic or the section. Make sure that you take notes and highlight whether you're reading a hard copy or an online document, and there'll be a slide on how to read digital material. Write down questions or type them on your computer. Write a one-sentence summary of each paragraph or idea. And then transcribe your handwritten notes to your computer. I found during my college career that transcription provides repetition, which really helps with recall. So repetition often helps. Answer the questions at the end of the chapter if they're available. If you're confused, go to an outside source on the topic. And slow down if the reading gets hard. Reread sections and take breaks if the document is really long. For example, read 10 pages, then do something else. We're all tied to our phones and computers, but reading digitally isn't the same as reading something in hard copy. So we need new strategies to be sure that our comprehension isn't affected, particularly if we're reading something that we need for an in-class or an online discussion or something that we need to know for a test. So how do you preview a digital text? In a paper book, we often read the back or look at a table of contents or read a few pages at the beginning. Digital texts don't always have summaries, so you might need to go online and Google the name of the text to find a summary. Next, you'll need to use highlighting in different ways. So on your iPad, for example, you can use different colors. Figure out a system, maybe yellow for general ideas and blue for ideas that require thinking about and green for ideas you have questions about. Make sure you find a process for taking notes in digital texts or readings. Many apps have note features. Use a notebook or for written notes, or use a digital note-taking space such as Evernote, or you can convert the document to a PDF so you can take notes as you read. It can be hard to find your place in a digital text, and that can make you very frustrated. How do you know where you are? The beginning, the middle, the end. So use the bookmarks feature to revisit important ideas, and often location indicators such as page numbers, how many minutes to the end of the chapter, and so on to find your place. And make sure that you write it down so that you can remember where you were when you left off. As with any reading, but particularly with digital reading, try to avoid distraction. It's so easy when we're online to get distracted by clicking on links. So we have to be self-disciplined, which can be challenging, but it really helps. Now you can use any strategy you want to make sure that you're reading deeply. So I'm going to provide two here, one on this slide and one on the next slide, that have helped many of my students with their reading. There are certainly a variety of deep reading strategies. I'm only going to review these two, but I hope that one of these might make you a more thoughtful and purposeful reader. Remember, the goal is that reading helps you not only enjoy the reading, but also achieve a purpose, doing well on your assignments and exams. So this first strategy is called Preview, Read, Recall, in which you preview the article first. I already mentioned that to get the main idea. Then you read it, being purposeful and active in your reading. Lazy reading isn't going to help you achieve your purpose of enjoying it and getting the most out of it. So take notes, highlight, underline, break the reading down so it isn't too much to tackle at once. And then last, recall. What do you remember about the reading? Write down questions and quiz yourself. Put the book or the reading away and see if you can summarize out loud what you've read. Using this simple 3-part technique can make you a much more thoughtful reader who enjoys what you're reading. So the second strategy is called SQ3R, and it's similar to the preview, read, recall strategy, but it's broken into 5 parts, which is sometimes easier for people. So first, survey. Look the material over and read the summary. Again, if you're reading something online, you might have to go to an outside text or some outside material to find the summary. Second, question. Take the headings and turn them into questions using, for example, what, who, why, how. When you're done with the reading, answer the questions. And then the 3 R's. Read and take notes and highlight as you read. Don't take on too much at once. Break down long readings. The second R is recite. Say the ideas out loud. And saying something out loud can really help you recall what you've read. Write a summary of what you read or make note cards of an outline. Next, review. Read over your notes. Quiz yourself. See if you can connect what you've read to what's been discussed in class or what you already know. And then test yourself as much as you need to until you're comfortable that you remember what you've read. So I hope these techniques and this information will help you become a more deliberate and purposeful reader who is able to do well on your assignments. And here's a shameless plug for the tutoring center. If you find you're still having trouble with reading, then please make an appointment with one of the tutors who can certainly go over these techniques with you and help you if you're struggling with reading.